All right. All right. So welcome once again to Dedicated Tech. So Dedicated Tech is basically a consulting company. We also do training and placement. So that means we train you in exactly what you need to learn in order to start a QA job. And we'll definitely touch base on what QA is and what QA job is and who should try and who shouldn't try and what will qualify you out there to get a job offer. So going into our next slide about us. So I am Joel and Shantabai is also on the line. He will speak at the time on his time, but both of us are going to be your instructors and mentors for this job oriented QA training. The reason we say job oriented because we only teach items, or we only teach subjects or tools that will be necessary for you to do your job. And both of us are ASTQB certified. That means we went out, took a test, and we met the standard of becoming a professional tester, right? So pretty much both of us have been working in QA for over, I would say, close to 10 years, right? And Dedicated Tech has been out there for 7 years. We rebranded 3 years ago. It used to be called A+ IT School. We have been taking small group. We don't really go out there and do TV ads or maybe newspaper ads, anything like that. So we always take 20 as a group, 20 to 30, and usually word of mouth, people that gets the job from us, their brothers, their sisters, and then we just pretty much work with those smaller group. And recently we starting to open up and try to get a little bit more, try to get 40 to 50 as a group. So that way we can put more people out there for a job. Both of us have been on multiple positions. For example, Shantabai has been working as a QA for over 10 years, right? And right now he's a senior QA. And I am a test architect. So I specialize mostly on building process and building tools for startup companies, such as maybe like very brand new companies that are out there that they don't have a QA team, they don't have a QA department. So my role is pretty much joining that company and pretty much guiding the entire team to have a process in place for QA, and also building a tool so that way everybody can use the tool to become more efficient on doing testing. So that's a little bit about us and what we do. But we also take pride and passion in teaching and guiding our students to get a job in QA. Okay. Going into the next slide. So this is class of 20. I don't know if you guys can see the whole thing. So this is class of 2019. This is pre-pandemic. So before the pandemic started, we had on-site. And in here, as you can see, many faces. You can see that diversity. But many of the students here, I would say all of the students here, are currently working. Now, some of the students are actually a software developer. So the guy with on the third guy behind right here, his name is Frank. He's working as a developer, right? Right behind him is his name is Giano. He's also working as a developer. There are a few other guys, females right here. Are two of the female right in this picture actually working also as a developer. But rest of them are working as a QA. So not only QA, there are opportunities that comes on our hand where we pretty much help you be successful. So the development side, sometimes we get in-house hiring, meaning hiring is happening directly through us, okay, as a consulting company. So we're able to have our students try for those opportunities. And of course, there will be interviews. All right, so that's how it looks like. This is just another picture in our on-site. And And we will soon open up on-site as things are getting better. As you can see, things are getting better nowadays. Everybody's vaccinated, so we will probably go back to our on-site office. And this is another picture of our on-site office. All right. So the whole reason why all of you guys joined today and here is because to learn a little bit about the job itself, what it is that QA do, and if you will be that person, right? Can you get started? And do you have the qualification? Do you have the background to get started? So number one thing, I'd like to explain what is QA. So that way you can determine yourself if you can do it yourself, right? If you can actually join and be able to become successful and get a job. So number one thing is that QA job description in a nutshell is pretty much a quality assurance specialist ensures that the final product observes the company's quality standard. That means the company has some standard and procedure in place, and we just want to make sure that it is following that process, or it is meeting the expectation of a company, right? The detail-oriented professional. So again, as a personality of a quality assurance analyst should be detail-oriented, right? And you are responsible for development and implementation of inspection activities. That means testing, right? So anything that we become efficient with, for example, when you do testing yourself, you are testing manually. But when you have your code do the testing, that means you are doing automated testing, right? So when you do the testing with code, that means you have found a way to make yourself more efficient, right? So testing has two parts, which is testing manually. We can just go ahead and test it ourselves. For example, if I ask you to go to Facebook and test if you can chat with your friend, and you can simply just go and check pretty much by sending him a message, right? Now, that is a general public, that is somebody who has no background in testing or quality assurance will do, right? Excuse me. But the training that we include, it will make you more into QA professional. A professional would not come back in 2 minutes and say, hey, look, the messaging is working. I was able to message my friend, right? That is not what a QA professional will do. A QA professional will come back after 2 days and say, look, I have tested and it's working. And he will provide a matrix of what was tested. That means all possible outcome, all possible scenarios, right? Sending a friend a message is just a positive scenario. What about the negatives, right? What if I want to send a message to somebody who's blocked? What if I want to send a message to somebody who no longer have Facebook, right? And then the scenario goes on and on and on, right? You can write, in theory, you can write unlimited scenarios, right? It's just that there are reality, meaning scenarios that hits the reality pretty much. We don't want to go into a situation where some scenarios is not realistic, right? So we will choose those realistic scenario and then test it and then come back and say, look, it's working, right? And then we would go into detection, pretty much looking into issues. If we find an issue, and that's where we are here, right? Detection. We find an issue, and then we point that out to our development team, right? Who is a coder, who's write codes. And they finish it, we will follow through the resolution to make sure the problem is resolved. And then the delivery is a satisfactory outcome. That means we have validated throughout the process and the product is hitting the shelf or the market or out there for public, for example, Facebook, right? Facebook has monthly releases and they have a similar process, very similar process to do the testing. So why pretty much us, right? We will think about us pretty much training you on becoming a professional, right? And that means we will have to teach you engineering process of testing. There are techniques of coming up with good scenario versus there are no techniques where you pretty much come back with the general knowledge, right? Critical thinking needs to be applied in order to come up with all the possible combination of scenarios so that way we can test efficiently. All right, so I hope that give you a little bit of idea what QA and what QA do, right? So now if you think about yourself and ask yourself a question, can I become a QA? And the answer most likely will be yes, right? It's because you are validating a product, right? Think about home inspectors, right? When you want to buy a house, the inspector goes and checks, right? The inspector do not work on a favor of a buyer or a seller. He has a set of checklist. He will simply go and check to make sure everything is fine, right? And so are we, right? We do the same thing. We are doing it for softwares, meaning we have a checklist and we will be checking those check boxes for our team to make sure that the software product is completely bug free, or at least has minimum critical bug or minimum bugs out there, right? Okay, so let's talk about in general, right? Like I said, everybody can qualify, but there are some qualification. There are, I would say, the basic qualification that you need to be aware of. Number one is having a computer science degree is a nice to have. It's a good to have, but you don't need it, right? And the question is why, right? Okay, I'm going into technology, I should be tech savvy, right? There are tech savvy uh, persons out there that do not have a computer science background, okay? Number one thing. Number two things is that because we're covering end to end, meaning complete package from the beginning to end on how to become a career professional, that means we are training you on things that you need for your job. So having a computer science degree, while it helps because you understand better and you'll finish the class faster than everybody else, but it's not required. Number two is previous experience, right? Okay. Previous experiences. So if you do not have any background, you have not worked as a QA, or you have not worked as a in development anyway, right? In software development. Should you be concerned? Should you be concerned joining? Well, that is also the same thing, right? Is because we're going to cover end to end. We're going to cover completely from the beginning to end. We assume that a person is joining with zero experience, right? So that means you need to spend some time studying. One of the things is that, excuse me, guys. So one of the important things is that if you can put 15 to 20 hours, that is plenty. That is plenty per week for us to say, okay, we will become a QA within the next 6 months, right? That means 4 months of training and 2 months of job finding, job searching, job prepping, interview prepping, and so on, right? So within that 2 months period, I can assure you that you will get a job, right? And one of the important thing and one of the highlights that I want to make sure that we're distinguished between other institute out there is that if we are not able to get a job for you, or if we are not able to help you get a job, then we are offering complete money back, right? So if there's any fees or anything that you have made as a payment, you can go ahead and request that back, right? But that means that your attendance, your homeworks, and everything that you need to do exactly what we will be asking you to do. And that is for your better, right? We want to make sure that you study, and we want to make sure that you learn, and you learn from pretty much you start from the right foot. We're not going to pretty much go out there, get a job, and then later we find out that we can't do the job, right? So that is another reason. The other thing is self-reliance is very important, what you will need, which is you need to be able to be telling the truth to yourself, right? Meaning if you commit yourself and says, hey, look, I'm going to spend 10 hours this week, and you have it, then you got to be truthful to yourself and say, look, I will spend 2 hours per day, and that will be in next 5 days, that will be 10 hours, and that should be good, right? So again, you have to be self-motivated, and you have to be self-reliance. You kind of want to respect the goals that you have. So if you are able to create a goal for the week of 10 hours, then you should be able to spend the 10 hours for learning purposes. And again, if this was so easy where you would spend maybe 2 hours during our class and then learn everything and then not spend a lot of time for learning for yourself, then everybody would do it, right? So nothing is easy. Specifically, like becoming a professional QA professional is not easy, right? So, but we're here to guide you to make it easier for you, right? So as long as you're with us and you're awake, you're pretty much aware of what needs to be done and just do your daily task 1 or 2 hours a day, that should get you going, right? And motivation is pretty much needed. You need to constantly remind yourself because it's not going to be easy. Learning is hard, right? Because learning is painful mentally, correct? And so it's always hard. So motivation is something that you have to find yourself. Maybe your motivation is to have a better job, and therefore you want to then, enjoy your life. Or maybe you want to have a motivation that you want to show your friends, family, and that you can do something better. So any of the motivation, maybe you want to show your loved ones. So any motivation that you can find will definitely help you become successful in this course. And again, commitment to yourself, right? Dedication and commitment is very, very important. And one of the things that is missing here is being professional, right? So the other thing that we don't take lightly, or we pretty much encourage people to do, is that to be professional. If you cannot be in the class, if you are late, if you are late on homework or something, you want to let us know, right? So that is what in a real world field where you'll see managers immediately messaging, immediately following back, immediately, setting up meetings, right? And this is called professionalism, right? Communication, we should not have communication gap. Even if you want to be honest, even if you are missing something, just be completely open book, honest, and increase the communication, so that way the other person, like me and Shantabai, we can help you become successful. So that was just addition to the list that we have. Let me go into the next. Okay, is this the next one? Okay. All right. So the course is for 4 months, right? And what you will be learning, right? There are some tools, there are other tools that we will include, and that actually depends on the trend, right? So what technology out there that is more popular, how many jobs are out there, that is pretty much for Selenium. And that's why you're seeing Selenium as a tool out there that we said we're going to teach you. But there are other tools just like Selenium, right? There are competitors. There are other programming language just like Java. There are other relational database just like SQL. So is Jira, and manual testing is manual testing, right? So these are some of the topics that we'll cover. Selenium, why we do Selenium and Java is because that is the most popular. There is a lot of jobs on Selenium and Java. But also, when the managers makes a decision on hiring, they will certainly look at your Java skills and Selenium and say, wait a minute, if you know Java and if you know Selenium, then you can certainly learn Ruby, or you can certainly learn .NET. Any of the other languages, it doesn't take a very long time when you know one language, right? One programming language. So what we'll cover basics of Java. We will help you build a framework from scratch. That means a test automation framework. When we do testing, we will have computer do the testing for us, so we don't have to do it, right? So we need to write code to make sure the computer does the testing for us. So we're going to use tools that are, for example, Java, Cucumber, JUnit, TestNG, Maven, Page Object Pattern, right? To build the framework from scratch. So you get to see how to build a framework from scratch and be able to write some automated tasks that will make you into an automation engineer, right? And that is one of the title, right? So if you happen to become automation engineer, that means you happen to know some code. For backend, we have SQL. So when you communicate with a database, and that is to read and write, you have to use some sort of language, and we call it structured query language, right? So you will be learning SQL, how to pull and push data from a database. Lastly, we have Jira. Jira is a tool that helps you manage your task. Okay, it's a task management tool, or it's a project management tool, depending on how your company utilizes it. So in our course, what we include, we include the admin side, how to set up Jira from scratch, and then how to pretty much do your daily job as a QA. So the entire daily QA job, we pretty much show you how to, guys, give me 1 second. All right. Before we go to the opportunity, I'm just going to go ahead and, okay. All right. Now, so manual testing. Hassan, can you just check that if you're marking, you're pretty much writing annotation. So if you're not doing intentionally, please stop. Okay. So
I apologize. I didn't do it intentionally.
okay, thank you. All right. So lastly, manual testing, right? Manual testing is a process on how to carry on testing and become a professional. Not only just simply go and test something, but also there is an engineering process in place, right? And we teach you that to make sure that you become efficient and you sound like somebody who has this professional expertise on a specific topic, such as testing, right? Otherwise, anybody would say I'm a tester. Just because I go into Facebook and be able to add a friend doesn't mean I validated that friend was able to be pretty much that functionality worked, right? There are a lot more to it. There are techniques, there are tools, and also what makes you more efficient, right? It's not all about testing, all right? So it's all about becoming efficient as well, right? So being in engineering field is all about bringing efficiency. So these are some of the topic. Now let's talk about opportunities and how we can help you get a job, right? So the first thing first, this is like how the steps looks like. This is the process on your road to get a job, right? You get yourself with 4 months class. 4 months class includes daily. So if we do, actually the classes are on the weekend, right? So Saturday, Sunday, you get one class on process and manual testing, and you get the other class in automation testing. So you learn your coding and you'll learn your process, but also we'll change subject as we finish with one topic and we go into the next, which is SQL and so and so. So that 4 months finishes and you finish, let's say you finish all of the topic on time. The next thing is interview prep and resume preparation. On the interview prep, we personally create scripts based on your resume. The resume resembles anything that you learn in that 4 months. Generally, that 4 months is equal to X amount of years, right? Because we cramped everything in that 4 months, right? So that includes how many years of experiences that you can have. But in the resume, it will reflect that. It will reflect what kind of skills you have and experiences that you have. But also, just because you know how to do the testing and you learned in the 4 months of class, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to express that kind of skills. So we're going to help you develop your portfolio, meaning your script, so that way you can answer questions like, tell me about yourself professionally, right? For example, what project that you did so far and how they were different. How did you help? What was the process that you followed? What was the QA standard you followed? What was the coding standard that you followed, right? So these are some things that we're going to help you develop. That script will be with you forever, because anytime you change a job, anytime you go out there, look for a new job, you're going to be able to use that document for yourself. The next thing is entering job market. Job market entering pretty much means that your resume is visible to the world, right? The resume, we put it out there, and pretty much companies that looking with the same sets of skills, they do a search, they do a keyword search. Your resume pops up, they call you, they email you. And normally, a typical day pre-pandemic would be 50 to 60 calls and emails per day, right? For a job, just to ask you if you're interested, okay? Now, after the pandemic, right now it's getting better. So it's getting 20 to 30 calls and emails combined per day. That means you haven't even applied for a job and people are calling you to say, hey, do you want to work for us, right? And that's based on your skills and resume. So when you say yes, then it moves on to the interview process. So then you set up the interview, okay? Once you set up the interview, I'm missing a few steps right here. maybe 5 or 6, actually 7 or 8 steps. But once you set up the interview, we personally sit down to make sure that we prep you for the interview. We look at the job description that you applied to make sure that you know what you need to know. And also at the time of interview, we're available to make sure that any sort of assistance that you need to become successful. Okay. Number 5 is when you get the job offer. So you got a job offer, and yes, you're happy, you want to celebrate, but also the paperwork may be getting very, very heavy, meaning this may be your first job in QA, or this may be your engineering first job. You don't know what paperwork should be and how you want to submit them and so on. So we'll definitely help you, guide you through those paperworks to make sure that you do the right thing. So you don't fail the background check, or you don't fail any sort of process that they may have before hiring. So that's pretty much some of the steps. This is pretty much as a roadmap. As you can see, like 4 months later, these 2 to 6 steps should be all the way for 2 more months, right? And then within 6 months, you should have a job, right? That's what we expect from somebody who finishes the entire class in 4 months. But if you happen to be the person who wants to take your time a little bit more and learn a little bit more and then go, then we're talking about a couple more months. But 4 months doesn't mean, okay, we didn't finish the class in 4 months, so therefore we're done. We don't work like that. You continue to do the class. The class continually goes on. We never take pretty much once the 4 months is done, we never cut it off, right? The weekly basis classes continue to go on. You can continue to join, and then if you get a job, then that'll be it for you, right? Then we go for a celebration. You get your job offer. You can decide to move. You can decide to work remote. Just to tell you a little bit about the job opportunities currently, majority of the jobs are remote. That means you'll be working from home. And the other thing is about us is that because we're working with a smaller group, our job opportunities, meaning somebody's getting out there and getting a job, is very highly likely because we put personal touch. We don't just count numbers, hundreds of people, and then don't have time when it comes about helping during the interview, or even helping during the paperwork, or even guiding them to apply for new jobs. With that said, I think my topics are done. So I'm going to introduce you guys to Shantabhai, and he'll take it from here and explain. He's going to spend another maybe 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to open up to questions. All right, Shantabhai, I will hand it over to you. Well, sure. You know what? You can start, and I will go ahead and do the slide moving for you.
That will be working also.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you for joining, everyone. Jewel already introduced me. I'm also working almost 10 years of with 10 plus, actually, maybe almost 10 years of QA experience. But I will actually continue from the slide. Jewel almost covered all the basic stuffs that you need to know. But few students actually asked question who joined late that Jewel already covered, if you need computer science background, but you don't need the computer science background for actually part of these QA opportunities. So you are fine if you think that you need QA and you don't have computer science. So you can continue. So since Jewel already started about the program, so I'll continue a little bit more about the training, how we design our program and training course. So basically, the design actually is for, you need like 5+ of experience, 5+ years of experience, where you will be competitive with rest of the market. So during this 4 months, right, we will be covering, we'll be teaching, we'll be training you such a way that you have this similarity of this 5 years of experience. What does that mean? That means during the interview, right, you will be expecting calls, and you will be asked a lot of questions that is related to this training program, right? And that skill set that you will be gaining during these 4 months. And these 4 months will be similar to 5+ years of experience, and maybe more for few people. If you work hard, if you give enough time, you can become a QA analyst with similar to like 7+ years of experience. And I'm not just saying that because if you go to market, and we will be following all the market standard. And as Joel Bhai said, we also certified by American Software Association Board, and we'll be following market standard that is required for any new QA candidate and going to market and get the job. So little bit details about the course. Two basic things you need other than us. You need a personal laptop and you need internet. This is the only thing you need to continue this course. And all other thing, all the notes, all the resources we'll be providing. And another thing you need commitment, right? Spend some hours for homework. And our course is actually 4 months long, right? Or 16 weeks. And I'll be going little more details, little later slides. And we'll have 2 classes or 2 training sessions every week, Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 2:15 p.m. This is Eastern time. All of our sessions currently will be online based. We'll be using Zoom meetings. Due to Corona, our physical locations are closed, as Joel Bhai said, but we are planning to open them soon. But even we open it, still our online session will be going on. It will be directly or lively telecast, so that anybody who cannot join or outside of New York, they can also join. Then all other meeting sessions will be also recorded. So anytime for any emergency, right, you can miss, right? We are not saying you have to join even there is emergency. Everybody has emergency. So you can miss sometimes and you can let us know. And end of the class, we'll be sharing all of this recording. So even you missing class, you are not actually missing the materials. We are covering every class. And another thing, we will have hands-on training. What does that mean? That means we'll be training the way that you will be actually doing at work, right? The testing or the coding or the testing setup, everything you are doing at class will be very much similar to work experience that after you get the job, you'll be doing same thing, just different setup. So we'll be maintaining that expectation that you are getting the feelings that you are working like real life experience. So there are some other rules that we added during the meeting and during the course. So Joel Bhai, can you go next slide? Then I'll set up. So you can see there are some sample meeting outline, right? So each of these class, each of this session will be very much this style, right? You see that at the beginning, we'll have daily stand-up meeting. And what is the daily stand-up meeting for, right? So you go to work anywhere as a QA or junior developer or IT professional. Every company has a daily stand-up call. And we'll be maintaining exactly the way at workplace you do, right? So daily stand-up means you will be just giving your update, what you did, what you are doing, if you have any issues or if you have any blocker that is slowing you down, right? So this is like professional like and real life work experience like meeting. And this is very quick meeting, 10 minutes and done. Everybody's update will be just provided. So, and this is like a sample, right? This is like some of these agendas for our classes. We'll be covering all of the agendas for each class. And I will have the notes, meeting minutes for all of these class agendas and class that we covered, and we'll be distributing those notes end of the class. And there are a couple of things. We will have meeting agendas distributed through our WhatsApp channel. Each of this class batch or each of this QA batch will have several things. One of this email group and another one is WhatsApp group. And both places I'll be distributing those so that you can actually quickly get those if you miss or if you want to view anytime. There will be quiz, is a short quiz on each of these classes. Actually, it's most of the time like 5 questions. So we want to make sure that you are just giving attention, right? Most of the time you'll be given a day for this quiz, and you'll be just submitting to us, either Joel Bhai or myself. We'll be providing you the information. And end of the class, right? Each of this class will be reviewing the homework for next week. And sometimes if you have any question from previous class. So this is the daily class standard or outline that will be followed. Okay, Joel, can you go to next? Okay, so this is just like course outline in details. It will be shared with all of you if you just do the course with us. And especially first 2 weeks is free. So please try to join and see how this course and if it works for you. And you probably will be happy that this is not too much. The material is not too tough. All you need just the dedication, right? And time, and you have to give time just to do the homework. And the reward is really, really high compared to 4 months of time you are giving. The reward is really, really high. As I said, or Joel Bhai said during our meeting invite, the job are like offering 80K to 140K, depending on your preparation, depending on your skill set, right? You can get like close to 100K from 4 months of training. This is highly rewarding. So you should just keep it in mind. Can you go next slide, Joel Bhai? Okay, so as Joel Bhai said, that if you are not 100% successful with getting the job after giving your 100% time, right? We'll be giving you money back. All the payments you make, we can actually return those. But what does that mean? You have to give some of your effort. And this effort includes, you have to actually join 80% meeting at least. So we are not encouraging if you miss classes. Joining meeting is kind of, we want to make you habit. You will actually do much better if you join the meeting, and you will be connected to the materials. So joining meeting 80% is kind of requirement to complete this course successfully. And also, as Joel Bhai mentioned, completing quizzes and do the homework, right? This is another requirement of this course, that you actually have to do this. And we actually designed 3 different projects. One is automation, one is manual, and another one is both automation and manual together. So these 3 projects will be given randomly, like after 1 month or 1.5 months, first one, then next month, next one, and then almost right before end of the class or course or training, you'll be given the final project. And for the final project, you have to give a demo in front of class. So what does that mean? If you give a demo, that will be doing a lot of things. A lot of people has problem with talking in front of big gathering, right? So you will be increasing your communication skill, and at the same time, you will be getting experience that how actually it works in real life work environment. So the whole setup will be very much similar to real life work experience, and all the demos you'll be giving will be like real life. So that will be definitely helpful. And this is part of your course completion. And end of the course completion, you'll be getting a certificate from DTS that you just completed successfully. Julbe, can you go to next slide? So Julbe already touched few of them, but I want to just explain a little bit more again. So there are training follow-up, right? After 4 months, DTS will actually communicate with each of you one-to-one and build a resume that is actually compatible with 5+ years of experience. So what is compatible mean? That the training you are getting, right? Those training will be similar that a 5 years of experience QA guy worked on already in the previous projects. So that will be very much similar. So that 4 months will give you 5 years of experience like skills. And this skill set actually will be reflecting your resume, right? As Joel also mentioned. DTS will be preparing script or questions and answer for your job preparation and interview preparation also. And we'll be setting up several mock-up interviews. Very, very important this one, because a lot of candidate has big time issues with interviews, right? They're actually nervous and they cannot even talk sometimes in interview. So we'll be taking some mock-up interviews and make sure that you can talk properly, you can give the answer properly, and it will boost your performance, boost your confidence. So we'll be working with you one-to-one if you need any help. And as Joel also said, when you go to market, we'll be working with you closely even when you set up an interview. So even during interview, we'll be with you. And there are next, okay, oh, you already changed it. So what happened after you get the job, or what is the process? So there is an onboarding process. DTS will support each candidate during this onboarding process. And there are several things DTS will be doing. So DTS will be handling all the necessary paperwork. As Joel said, there is a lot of paperwork, especially if you are the first timer in QA. Any references you need, communication with HR, right? Human resources. So DTS will be handling those stuff. So once you start a new job, many of you will be very, very nervous, right? This is your first job, maybe you are confused. So DTS team, so Joel Bhai or I or any of our team member will be communicating with you and provide you all the necessary steps you need to continue the job and to perform accordingly. Means you have to maintain the expectation, right, from your manager or from your company. So we will try our best to make sure that you are working with expected level, or you are maintaining the communication with all the team. And this is very, very important, because especially when you have first time job. And another important thing, DTS is not only this 4 months friend, actually. We'll have a long-term relationship with you. Anytime you need any help, you can come to us. You need any skill, we can try our best if we can. So you will be with us forever, actually. So it's not that you get the job and that's it. We don't know you, you don't know me. So you will be communicating with us, we'll be communicating with you for any needs, for anything, right? So that will be a long-term relationship with all of our students with DTS. Next slide, Julie. So there is a question and answer section. So now, so my presentation is complete, Julbai. So I see few students in the chat asked about the payment plan, or what is the cost. So Julbai, you want to explain? Next slide is actually payment option.
Yep. So I'll take it from here. So the payment plan, right? So there is, there is opportunities also for be able to get everything for free, right? Which I'm gonna describe and tell you how that will work. But initially our training, that 4 months, you are expected to pay $500 per month. And 4 months later, that will be a total of $2,000. And after that, you just continue until you get a job, and you don't have to make any payment until you got your first job. Once you get your job, then you go into another payment plan until you pay up to $5,000. That is post job, meaning after the job, and prior to the job, the training itself is a $2,000 training. Now let's talk about how can you get it for free, right? So many of you guys, when you do the training and you do your 4 months and you become very, I would say, you're an expert, you happen to finish it quicker and faster, everything you did right. And then when you are getting your job, you get it from DTS, meaning DTS is a employer, and DTS specifically is issuing you your paychecks, meaning we are the company who's paying you, and you work for us, meaning you're gonna be out there. You could be working for Chase, they're clients, right? They're clients, but you get paid from us, right? In that case, your entire course, your post-job fees, everything is free. We will reimburse you up on your 6 months of working directly with us. We do have several candidates that currently on our payroll. So that means they get paid through us. We pay them bi-weekly, and there are options for cash payment as well. Just because we're a company, we're able to do that, but also we can do direct deposit in other ways. Normally how a company would take care of payments of their employees. Currently, we can only do 1099s. We don't do W2s. So if you do get payment from DTS, then you will be getting paid in 1099. So that is how you get the free, the entire thing for free. But again, that will be after 6 months, because you have to be able to work for 6 months to pretty much make us a little bit of money, a profit, before we can reimburse you the money that you have spent initially. So that is pretty much our four payments in the beginning, and then at the end there will be another 5 payments, so you can break it down. We're pretty open for the payment plan, so there are people that makes a smaller numbers of payment, and there are people that actually, after getting their offer, they immediately make the entire payments, and that is completely up to them. Some people get too excited just because they got the job and they realize they got all the help. Okay, so is this the last slide? I think this is the last slide, right? Okay, so that is our payment plan, guys. And let me go ahead and stop the recording. So Shantabhai, should I stop recording and then take questions, or should I make a separate video of just questions?
I think you can stop for now,
Okay.
and you can make a separate video.
Okay.
And then